Hello and namaste, my beautiful friends. I'm Jill Loftus of Nuit Astrology. I'd like to welcome you to your planetary energy forecast for the week of October the 28th, 2024. We are entering about a 2-week time period where we have some very consequential astrology. And so it is important to understand the elements of what is about to occur so that we can see the patterns within our own life, but also within the collective and the larger cycles at play. If you do not have your chart, this information will still be useful, but it really does make a difference to know where it's happening in your particular 12-house realm of life. And so be sure to hop on astro.com. I have no affiliation with them, but you can get a free chart there. And then you can start to begin your astrological education. Again, knowledge is power, and to know yourself is the ultimate power, okay? So we start this week with some tension from the past week. We still have a little clash between Venus in Sagittarius and Saturn in Pisces. And so this is going to cause some delays, perhaps some rules that, something happening behind the scenes, something is just thwarting you. You will be able to pick up a little bit more flow with that Venusian energy as we get into this week. So keep that in mind. We also start the week with this lovely contact between Mars, our action planet, in the Osophili nurturing sign of Cancer, flowing in a beautiful way with Neptune, the planet of inspiration. I will say this, all of this week, there is some beautiful water energy. Very positive for the water signs, okay, yes, but helping all of us to understand that element a little bit more and how it functions. This is the energy of our intuition. This is the energy of seeing things through a more inspired lens, perhaps not seeing just with the eyes, right? But being more aware, picking up your spidey senses, right? Doing everything, not just with the brain and with the eyes, but with that full spectrum of the human experience, which includes listening to our guides, following our dreams, listening to our intuitive sense of things. And so all of that is amplified this week. Now I want you to also pay attention to this little aspect. And normally Mercury in the sign of Scorpio, standing across the sky from the Uranian energy over there in Taurus. Normally that would be a little bit of a tense aspect, but because of these other aspects, it's going to be amplified, I think, in many ways. And so this could fire both early and late. So we might come into the weekend with this energy, or out of the weekend with this energy, and it could play out, I think, throughout the rest of the week, at least until Mercury slips into Sagittarius. But to have the symbol of the mind, communication, interaction, standing across the sky from the symbol of rebellion, freedom, technology, well, you're going to expect some glitches this week when it comes to technological things, when it comes to electricity, electronics. This is also, Mercury in Scorpio is it's like a truth serum. Anybody with Mercury in Scorpio is going to tell you the truth. Anybody with Mercury in Scorpio is going to play the long game. But with this Uranian energy in the sign of Taurus, which has to do with money, finances, resources, food, the land, it begins to spark things up, right? And so there's going to be some uncertainty, some shocking events, some shocking news. Pay attention to those things and try to stay adaptable and have your backup systems in play. Now, that Mars energy, and I've been speaking about this for a while, that Mars and Cancer energy is beginning now, once we get to the 29th, to stand across the sky from Pluto. So again, we start the week with this. It perfects this week. We still are feeling it next week. Mars in Cancer. Mars in Cancer is not his favorite placement, okay? He doesn't want to be stuck home, like taking care of mending the fences and taking care of the homestead, right? He wants to go out and see the world, but yet he is very, Mars in Cancer can be very, concerned with the family, concerned with the country, very much like, this is my people, these are my people, this is my territory, don't you take this from me. Remember, the United States is a Cancer sun. If you think about the United States as a Cancer sun, it makes perfect sense, right? We have this weird, almost too patriotic thing that's almost too overreactive to certain things, right? But also there's a certain beauty in that, right? There's a certain beauty of being really proud of your family and really proud of your country. But it can be overreactive when it is triggered, and boy, what bigger trigger is there than Pluto in the sign of Capricorn, the sign of the boss, the sign of the patriarchal structures, the sign of authority figures, of you're doing it this way, right? Those two energies, they naturally stand across the sky from each other because they're opposites, right? And so now we have both Mars and Pluto, which, by the way, are the ancient and modern rulers of the sign of Scorpio, which is where the sun is, which is where Mercury is, right? They're having this dust up. This is going to trigger something. Now, another thing to pay attention to is this is going to be a 1, 2, 3 situation. This is the first blast of it because Mars is going to retrograde. It is going to stand across the sky, have this battle with Pluto 2 more times over these next few months. So this is just the first salvo, all right? So I don't want you to be fearful, but I want you to be wise. I want you to pay attention to tricky people and tricky situations. I want you to slow down. I mean, how many times have I said that, right? But a lot of times the thing that you need to do when you're talking about a dangerous aspect, a potentially an aspect that could cause problems. I mean, these are the energies that could cause severe weather events, argumentative or angry people, explosions. And, you know, Mars is cutting, it's fire, it's all of those methodologies that can tear things apart, and Pluto is as well. So this principle is, those two principles coming together it's dangerous. And so I want you to be careful and cautious, especially because you got that Mercury-Uranian energy too. So again, there will be eye-raising events this week. Now, just in the same way that Mercury is tangling with Uranus, it's going to send beautiful energy to Neptune. Inspired energy, creative energy, the ideas of the new thought, the way to break free of these patterns, especially if they're old patterns that you encounter. So be aware of that. We're going to have a magic triangle in the sky between Mars and Cancer, Mercury and Scorpio, and Neptune. There is some magic here. We've got to look hard for it. Now, our new moon is on the 1st of November. So November 1st not only ushers in a new month, but a new moon, a new energy. And at 8:47 a.m. Eastern Time, at 9 degrees of the sign of Scorpio, right? So a lot of Scorpio energy being amplified. Now, this moon vibes, it abides beautifully with Saturn. So there's some sticking power, there's some glue to whatever you initiate, start, or desire in this very desire-filled energy of a Scorpio new moon. But also remember, the Uranus element is there right across the sky. So that brings in a little tension, a little uncertainty, right? You're not sure about things, and it's got this like difficult Mars-Pluto energy, really coming into tight orb at that time. So, kind of look at whatever you want to initiate at that time. It will still have that signature of a little bit of struggle needing to take place in order to birth it into the world. All right. Now, I would also watch, not only is that complexity there, but Mercury is going to be sextiling to Pluto and trine to Mars. So that Mercury in Scorpio is really going to it's going to have a very strong desire nature and a very strong idea of how it's going to accomplish it. So this is very positive, but that opposition will be tricky. And then you also have to watch because Venus in that bright, sunny, optimistic sign of Sagittarius is going to be standing across the sky from Jupiter and Gemini. Now, typically the two benefics coming together, that's very positive, right? But I feel like almost, yes, this could soften some of these more difficult energies, but it also could give you passionately, quickly, an idea kicks up and you decide to implement rather spontaneously. And because of the other energies, it could go a little sideways. So I want you to be a little careful, cautious. It'd be useful for you to know where the very end of Cancer and the very beginning of Leo is for you, and where the very end of Capricorn and the very beginning of Aquarius is for you. And the same thing if you have things at the very end of Aries, or the very end of Libra, or the very early Taurus, or the very early Virgo. very early Scorpio, you are going to have some major activations. The wheel is turning, and it's turning very firmly this week. All right. Now, on the 2nd, Mercury will slip into Sagittarius. That's very different. But keep in mind, always think of the Sagittarius with hoof in mouth disease, right? You go from that intense analytical depth of Scorpio, and all of a sudden Sagittarius, man, then you have ideas. You want to say something. You have a thought. You come straight through. Where's my filter? Oh, no. So just be a little careful, cautious with that, because your mouth could get you into some issues, especially with Venus in that very passionate Sagittarius placement, standing across the sky from Jupiter in the sign that Mercury prefers, which is Gemini. And so dial down the rhetoric a little bit, watch the mind, watch the mouth towards the end of the week for sure. Now, the Sun in Scorpio begins to trine to Saturn in Pisces at the end of the week as well. This, again, water energy, this positive flow of water energy. Understand, though, with water, right? Think about what wears away stone. Water. Like that slow drip can totally make a huge rock formation melt over time. We all saw the incredible power of water as it moved through Western North Carolina last month, and what chaos it wrought, right? So to harness water energy, we have to work with it and understand its power, and that is something that this week I think will help us to do. Finally, we finish the week on the 3rd with Mars going into the sign of Leo, and we're going to observe that entrance. Why? Well, first of all, it's a pretty big vibe change. We're going from that oh so tender but kind of reactive Cancer to Leo, look at me, I have something to say. And so that Mars in Leo is a little bit more not just attention grabbing, but attention desiring. It's like, I want you to see me, I want you to hear me, I want to take actions that are admired, that bring me attention, glory, but also the ability to use my skills in a positive way, right? So where is that early part of Leo in your chart? That is somewhere where you might want to have a little bit more recognition. And also we're watching that because of the Mars retrograde cycle. It's going to be here again, so we need to see what the symbolism brings. It will also help for it to get kind of a little bit out of that Pluto tractor beam, because instead of being at the exact opposite signs, Capricorn and Cancer, it will kind of leap ahead to Leo. And so there's a little less of that to kind of tractor beam. That's a good way of putting it, right? That little less of that opposition. They're still tangling, right? They're still not getting along, but now there's just a little bit of a change to the way that they are arguing, right? I would also watch Venus begins to trine to Chiron at the end of the week. And so explore different philosophies. It's a great time to pick up a book on a new subject that might broaden your mind and help you understand why these things are happening, what the context is. And I also want you to note that we do have, that we still have that Venus standing across the sky from Jupiter. And again, that could bring in positive events. It's not all negative, but it could bring in overwhelm, right? Venus is in the sign of the philosopher, and Jupiter is in the sign of the local people. And so there's this, expansive philosophies that the women are talking about, right? Venus. And Jupiter, which is the judge, is in Gemini, looking more at the smaller picture, looking a little bit more locally. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out in the collective. All right, well, I hope you found this useful and helpful. I will tell you the light of the week, Mars and Mercury trine Neptune, very inspired. I'm loving the Scorpio new moon. I love the contact with Saturn. I love that there's a little bit in that ephemeral water, scorpionic energy, especially at this time of year, right? There's this foundational energy of it. There's something about it that's real, that's tangible, that you're going to be able to lock in from this new moon. And then I really am looking forward to Mars moving into Leo too. I just feel like Mars will be able to get up on his horse and go into battle with a little bit more zhuzhed up. The shadow of the week, Mars Pluto, all day long. Really be observant and careful of that, especially if you have any resonance with anger or upset. Because if you have it in you, the outer world, it will be magnetized to you, and you may not like the way that transforms your relationship with your anger. I would also watch that Mercury Uranus, because that is going to cause some chaos or mayhem with electricity, electronics, with travel, with flights, with train schedules, with things like that. So pay attention to that. And then I'd also watch that Venus Jupiter. I know they're both the benefics, but especially in the positions that they are, I'm really seeing less of an ability to harmonize and more of a desire to just kind of start throwing things at a problem to see if something sticks. And that could be the wrong approach this week. So, all right, well, I'm super intrigued to see what the tarot has to say. I hope that it is helpful. And if you found this useful at all, please share it with a friend. Please invite someone to check out the channel, check out my website, sign up for my free tarot course. I'm running that again on the website. And yeah, hang in there, my friends. Deep breaths. White light shields up. Namaste. Hello and namaste, my beautiful friends. Welcome to the Isis Lotus Tarot Spread, week of October 28th, 2024, wrapping up the month with some tense astrology. So let's see what the cards have to say. Reading for the collective, Isis Lotus Tarot. Let's take a look. All right, cards are ready. We start out with the very first card, which is the influence of the past. So what has that affect? How does that affect this week? Queen of Pentacles. So we're concerned with money. Maybe we're looking at our resources. Maybe we're looking at practical steps that we need to take. But there's something here that's got us looking at fundamentals. And you, Nine of Cups. Feeling abundant, feeling happy, having some positive emotions here. So that's lovely. The environment, though, is stressy. That's funny. I feel like those don't match, but Nine of Swords for the present environment. So the environment is filled with tense thought forms. You're trying to lean into the abundance, into the happiness. You're trying to find that joy and find that excitement, but there are a lot of worries and concerns. And as they culminate, we get to the Chariot. Perhaps there's something you know that you've needed to do or take care of, but clearly the time is here. All right. Key card of the future, the Sun. So this is important. It is important for you to use your skills, your talents, the things that make you uniquely you. That is how you're going to navigate this week, right? Now, opposing forces in play. We've got the Eight of Swords. So in one particular way of handling this energy, you could really be feeling limited, restricted by all your negative thought forms. The other option is that you just have this intuitive sense that there's a lot more depth here, or there's a lot more going on behind the scenes, and you're kind of tuning into that. Now, the near future detail card is the King of Swords. So this reminds us that even though, with that beautiful grand trine in the sky, you want to lean into intuitive hits, you want to pay attention to your emotional responses, but we must be logical and rational. This is what the King of Swords reminds us to do. Now, the modifiers, again, on the Eight of Swords side, we've got the Two of Swords. Very swordsy here. So this is a lot of self-limitation, self-doubt. Like really watch the doom loop in your head. On the Moon side, we've got the Knight of Wands. So anger, upset, emotionality here. And paired with that Two of Swords, we've got the Devil. Whoa, okay. We clearly have this spread is really looking very Mars Pluto, okay? So you've got the Eight of Swords, you're limiting yourself, you're trying to be rational, but you're overcome by these difficult mental thoughts. And again, the Devil is here to show that it could really cause you to react in a negative way. Now, the other side is clearly the higher vibrational choice because, right, the Moon, you understand there's more to the scene, right? the King of Swords. So you're going to approach it rationally. Knight of Wands, you're going to know when to act, how to act. You're going to take whatever anger, upset, that emotionality, and turn it into an understanding of how to manifest what you want. This is the Fool. The Fool, you know the dance, right? Look at the cosmic picture. Be Scorpio about it. Two possible progressions or solutions. On our very swordsy side over here, we've got the Wheel of Fortune. So that indicates there are some karmic repercussions coming forth. You know, that which you have sown, the garden you have created, you are reaping the fruit. What is it that you are not liking about it? How will you change the garden as you plant in the future? Over on the moon side, we've got the King of Wands. We also had the Knight of Wands in here too. So there's definitely a more action-oriented way to approach the week. All right, and then paired again on the Eight of Swords side with the Wheel of Fortune, the Ten of Wands. So, and then let's just finish this one out and we'll do the whole thing. And then we've got the Hanging Man over here. All right, well, that makes total sense. So we're coming into the week with this Queen of Pentacles energy, right? We're trying to be practical and grounded, pay attention to what we need to do. And you're like, you know, trying to be optimistic, really lean into the things that you like, enjoy, you know, what's working out. But this is a very tense environment. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of negative thought forms. You have to watch because they stick, right? You go to the grocery store, you come out and you're in a terrible mood. Why? You were standing next to somebody, you picked up some of their thought forms, right? All right. And then as these things culminate, the Chariot says, okay, you need to handle them. You need to do something about it. You can't just sit and, you know, clutch your pearls, darling. And then the Sun reminds you, you know, you are you. You have these special, this special sauce, right? Everything that's happened to you has created these skills and abilities within you. That means that you can handle this. So have confidence. Now, on this one side, you know, wow, the self-limiting thoughts, the negative loop, you know, try really this week to listen to positive things, you know, make sure you're listening to positive, encouraging music, do your gratitude list, do your affirmations, you know, every day in every way, I'm becoming stronger and happier every day in every way. I am becoming the architect of my most beautiful existence, right? And then the King of Swords is here to say, hey, no matter what you do, there's going to need to be a certain element of logic and precision here this week. It needs to be fact-based, okay? There's going to be a lot of noise over these next several months, okay? And because the powerful configuration of having both Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, it's really easy to go down the rabbit hole. The King of Swords does not indulge in such things. Okay, so then we get this, you know, dear Lord combo of the Two of Swords. Oh, I can't do anything. There's nothing I can do. And the Devil, which could be, you know, distraction. Like, okay, so I'm going to go like just, you know, fall into Netflix and a bottle of wine or something, right? I mean, no. Be careful of that. Be careful of that. There'll be the tendency that you want to just avoid. And then as we finish it up, you know, you have to understand the things that are happening for a reason. You know, even bad things, I never want to get caught up in one of those thoughts of being like, oh, yeah, well, every bad thing had to happen. No, they don't. They happen because people make terrible choices. And sometimes we are at the mercy of some of those people and the choices that they make. But you know what we do? We can make choices too. And the Ten of Wands reminds you, don't take it all on by yourself. Lean into your community. If you don't have a community, start building one. Anything that you want in this life and you look around and it's not there, maybe that's because you're supposed to build it. Okay, the other side, we've got the Moon. Now, this is more for those of you who are really locked into the intuitive sense of things and kind of just had that their pulse on it, right? You're not drowning in the minutia, in all the details, in the mental things, but you can be really picking up a lot, and that can be hard too. So again, the answer is to be rational, lean into that King of Swords, and then Take wise, measured actions. So Knight of Wands warns us we can get a little upset, angry, but we do sometimes have to get off the couch and do something about it. And that's where the Fool comes in, right? The Fool reminds us, well, why couldn't the best possible thing work out? Like, you know, if this one thing that I wanted isn't working out, then what's the other thing that that is going to work out? Because something will. And then finally, King of Wands. So that's a little bit more, that energy of a king comes up twice, right? King of Swords and King of Wands. The king gathers all the information from his advisors, and then he calls the shots, right? And so this Knight of Wands is like, I need to take an action. And the Hanging Man reminds you that even though you are going to take the action, even it might not manifest right away, okay? Go back to that idea of planting those seeds. Okay, well, I know it's a big week. The week after is a big week too. Be with you every step of the way, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.